Hey YouTube, Ali Sultani from everyonestrings.com here. The following is a snippet from my online course. If you like what you see, check out more at everyonestrings.com. First of all, when it comes to learning, take your time. There's no rush and everyone has their own pace. Some lessons may take mere minutes and some may take months. But that's okay. Even slow, steady progress is still progress. And most importantly, enjoy the process. Music is a blessing and a joy. Learning can be a challenge, but don't lose sight of the ultimate goal of bringing life to your instrument and the joy of music into your life. Along those lines, don't be afraid to be working multiple pieces at once. You may not have a piece fully mastered or up to full tempo before you move on. The end goal is to eventually have it mastered and at full tempo, but give yourself fresh goals and new music when needed. You can work multiple pieces at once, and you can always come back to old pieces and projects later. When it comes to learning our music, there is a 3-step process we should follow. It doesn't matter how advanced you become, these 3 steps will always ensure the most efficient process for learning your music. You'll hear me say it over and over again. Listen, sing, play. Each lesson has a series of videos that will thoroughly guide you through this process. Let's break down each one of these steps in detail. Listening. Listen to your notes so you know exactly what it sounds like. It's just like learning to read a word. You might see something like this and pronounce it fox pass. But if I were to tell you, just repeat after me, faux pas, you'd have a much easier time pronouncing that word. So listen to your music. It will teach you how to pronounce your words so that you know exactly what it should sound like and will ensure you get the correct results in the end. Each one of our lessons will start with a performance of the music we will be working on. So that is the starting point for your practice, listening. For further listening, I've created a playlist of all of our music on YouTube so that you can take it on the go and listen anytime, anywhere. Try to do a little listening every day, even if you don't get to actually practice your violin. Studies have shown that listening is the next best thing to actually practicing. It gets the brain consciously or subconsciously processing our music, and that makes the whole learning process much easier. Once you've listened to your music, try the next step, singing. Singing will allow you the chance to get to know your notes before you ever have to coordinate the note reading and playing all together at the same time. It will also help to develop an inner ear for the notes and to connect the dots between our note names, the fingers we use to play those notes, and how that correlates to the violin itself while playing. Each lesson has videos to sing along to using note names and finger numbers. If needed while practicing later, try singing smaller snippets as well. You don't need to be a professional singer or much of a singer at all for that matter. I certainly am not. At least give it a try. If for some reason you can't sing, at least try saying the note names and finger numbers out loud to still get some benefits from this step. Once you've listened to the music and have sung through the notes, you should be pretty familiar with your music. At this point, we're ready for our 3rd and final step. Playing. By this stage, we should know our notes and music well enough that we can focus on the coordination of playing. Whether it's the early stages in guitar style playing or the later stages with the bow involved, there's a lot of coordination to playing violin. So the less you have to think about and read the notes themselves, the easier playing will be. Not only will each lesson include a performance of the music to listen to and sing-alongs, but it will also include instructional videos to give information about the music, guided practice to help address specific trouble spots or new skills, and play-alongs at various tempos to make your practicing and playing easier. With the play-alongs, aim to match what you hear exactly. In the end, we want to be able to play along with each of these videos matching the movement or tempo of the notes and the intonation or pitch of the notes as well. We'll end each lesson with a recap of what we have been learning, some reminders of things to continue to watch for as you play, and a look ahead at the following lesson. Now, let's talk about one of the most frequently discussed topics, practicing. Where, when, how much, and how. Where to practice? Keep it simple. You can practice anywhere. A violin is small and mobile. You can take it anywhere. I do recommend having a quiet space away from any distractions that might pull your focus away. Find a room or an office where you can create a positive learning environment. The one specific thing I would recommend is have a mirror. Having a mirror to watch yourself is an extremely valuable resource. So wherever you choose to practice, set up a mirror there to be able to see yourself when you play. When to practice? The simple answer is any chance you get. But it's not always as simple as that, is it? We can easily forget about our practice or our violin altogether. Here's what I recommend to help develop good practice habits. When at home, leave your violin out and accessible. Whether you leave it on a desk, a shelf, or hang it on a wall, have it out of the case so you have one less barrier to slow you down. In addition to leaving it out, tie it to a routine, whether it's right before dinner, right after dinner, first thing after coming home from school or work, practicing before you leave home in the morning. Make it a part of another routine so that you can tie it in, and that will help develop a strong habit of playing. Finally, use timers. Set a recurring timer or alarm on your phone to remind you to start your practice and to end your practice. Set everything else aside between the timers and just focus on enjoying your music. Once the second timer goes off, go back to your daily routine. And that leads us to our next point. How much to practice? This is really up to you. Everyone has different expectations and goals. For absolute beginners, starting out with 5-minute practice sessions is a good goal. Eventually, you might work your way up to 10, then 15, then 20, and so on and so forth. If you're an experienced and advanced player wanting to be competitive, you might be practicing 30 minutes to an hour or more each day. It really depends on what your goals are and how much time you have to dedicate to your music. The one thing I do for sure recommend is try to do just a little every day. 5 minutes of practice a day over the course of a week is far better than 1 hour of practice one day out of the week. If you can only practice one day out of the week, that's also okay. Don't let that discourage you. You can still enjoy your music and make progress. But if you can tie in the ritual of small daily practices, that will be far more rewarding for you in the long run. Our brains appreciate the more frequent playing and will retain much more that way. Finally, how should you practice? Well, I've already discussed the 3-step process of listen, sing, play. In addition to that, remember a few key practice guidelines. Address the most difficult spots first. Don't shy away from trouble spots or difficult spots. Be brave and dive into the deep end of the pool and get it taken care of. If not, these spots tend to always drag along and create dread. If you tackle them first, though, you'll find it much easier in the long run to bring everything up to speed. 2, practice small sections and then progress up to larger ones until you're playing the whole piece. 3, along with that, practice slow and progressively work faster as you become more comfortable with the music. 4, mistakes aren't bad. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. It will definitely happen. That's just an opportunity for us to improve and shows us spots that we need to practice. 5, repetition is important, but don't just do mindless repetition. Each time you repeat, try and find something new to challenge yourself with or some way to improve. If you can play something consistently 3 times in a row, then you have a strong grasp on the idea. 6, in the end, don't forget to practice performing your music. Play full run-throughs of it as if you are in a concert. If mistakes happen at this point, again, don't worry. Just go back and address those spots with some small practice sessions. And finally, number 7, review, review, review. You can never do too much review. Just because we learn to run doesn't mean we ever stop walking. Take a little time each practice session to go back and review old music or old lessons in order to reaffirm and strengthen up older foundational skills. It's also a good chance to see the progress you are making along the way. A few more quick notes before we move on. Occasionally in our videos, you'll see this pause symbol pop up. These are points at which you can pause and work the material on your own for a while before resuming the video and going on to the next portion. From time to time, we'll be addressing note reading in our lessons. Note reading is a very handy and necessary skill to have, But when you are learning your music, in the end, try to memorize each piece. This will allow you to focus less on note reading and more on the technique and quality of your playing, resulting in much more beautiful music. Speaking of which, share your music with others. Play for others and play with others. If you have the opportunity and interest, find a friend or a group to play with. Depending on where you live, you may have school orchestras, community orchestras, youth orchestras, or just another friend that might be interested in joining along with you on this journey. Get connected where you can and however you can. Music can be a wonderful way to connect socially. You won't regret it. If you have any questions or comments for this video or any others, please leave them in the comments section to the video. Not only will it help us connect and find the answer for you, but it could help another student along the way. Up next, we have some note reading challenges to tackle. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you there.